Morning, morning, morning. Welcome to the Texas Real Estate Show. And here I am this morning with my good friend from Bryan and Bryan. Introduce yourself.
My name's Chris Golden with Bryan and Bryan Inspections, and we're here. We did a C&E class this morning with the guys here at with Stephen Williams, and I guess how many of you of your team?
Yeah, there was a few people down there for 21, and we was all there doing our continuing education classes, and we learned some interesting stuff which we thought we'd get on the channel this morning. And here with Kay in the background. How you doing, Kay?
I am great.
Is this mic doing okay? It sounds a bit echoey.
You can just hear through my
Oh,
headphones.
okay.
Yeah, you can just hear.
All right, just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Well, we're here, as I said, with Bryan and Bryan Inspections, and what we're basically going to do is we're going to talk about some things. Bryan and Bryan Inspections, what they actually do is they do residential inspections, new home inspections, commercial inspections. They also do wood destroying inspections, full home thermal imaging, which we're going to go through, and we're also going to talk about EIFS and stucco inspections.
And full disclosure, his name is not Bryan.
My name is Chris.
No.
He's not Bryan. It's
No.
the name of the company.
No, Bryan and Bryan Inspections. Chris Golden, but yes, Bryan and Bryan. So yeah, not to get it confused, but
Yeah, but basically, so that's what we're going to talk about, and we're sort of going to dwell on that with Chris. So basically, what's interesting about Bryan and Bryan Inspections is not all inspection companies are equal, just like all realtors are equal. Basically, what attracted me to Bryan and Bryan Inspections are, if you do your inspection at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, you get that inspection back, normally in the form of an email by 9 a.m. On Wednesday morning, which is, a very efficient service that they have. They do in all their home inspections. They include a termite inspection. They do offer a protection plan as well, which we're going to go into a little bit. What's also interesting is they do thermal imaging, which we're going to go into and explain what that is, and how it really impacts you. And we're going to talk about a home service concierge. There's an inspection guarantee and a 200% guarantee, which you're basically going to introduce to us. So first of all, what have you got to say on? Tell us about your packages and how they sort of go together. I thought it was really interesting personally how Bryan and Bryan, how you package the things up. A lot of inspection companies will charge you X amount of dollars for the inspection, but they don't really offer you a full service. What you do is you've got 3 different packages which go above and beyond, in my opinion.
correct. Yeah, you're spot on with that, because what we have is our essential package, and this is what we do every inspection. We have the essential package. This is what comes, what the service is that come with that. It's a full structural and mechanical inspection. You got your basic thermal, digital foundation measurements with a zip level, which is not just looking at the foundation, not just eyeing it. We actually use the zip level for it. Like you mentioned, we call it the free WDI inspection, wood destroying insects, termites. So that comes with it. It's a free, no charge service. And with a move-in or a inspection, we also do the free pest service. So the buyer will get what you guys can use for your benefit to pass along to your clients, is the pest service. So that comes with the package, not as an add-on or an extra charge. And with that, the essential plus, so when you go from our basic package to the plus, the buyer gets the option of a sewer scope or full thermal imaging. Not just the basic, but you're adding on a full thermal. So that's the moisture intrusion, like the HVAC system, the electrical panels, like every wall in the house thermal inspection. So you get to pick
So-
one or the other.
Just so the viewers know, what's um, the thermal imaging? Just explain to the viewers what thermal imaging is.
Where you're taking a reading of the heat either coming out of, your vents or the wall. If you have hot spots, it'll show that.
So, for example, all right, this is my understanding of it, which is basically you've got a fuse box, exterior fuse box.
Correct.
And what you can do your thermal imaging and it'll show you which fuses are overheating, correct?
Correct. It'll show
And that basically is a no-no because they need to stay, cool. If they're overheating, then the wattage or the voltage or whatever is not,
Correct. The full electrical panel, and the HVAC system, because that's a big, you want to take a big.
yeah, you
big
can't live
thermal.
without an HVAC.
No. You want to know if, something's heating up or not cooling. That's part of the thermal.
So for thermal imaging, can you see, hypothetically, let's say you might have
No,
a
you can't see that.
squatter,
No.
a squatter in your attic, can you cover
I
that
mean,
with thermal
The thermal
imaging?
imaging is it's every wall moisture, in the house. So that's, your ceilings, your interior walls. So yes, you will get a full thermal reading.
Of a
uh,
person.
Could you see a rat running?
I mean, I probably could. I haven't seen that, but I'm sure if you see if it's not a hot spot and you see something moving that has some heat to it, you
That
might
would
wanna
be
check,
funny.
but,
You're like, we're not checking that. We're going to tell you about it and we're going to leave.
In the event of a termite inspection, is that something where, because it's included in your inspections, you would say, well, it's a particular type of termite? Or is that something that you might say, well, it's a carpenter ant or such like?
yes, we would find out if there were an insect found. It would be, which one is it? Which type of termite is it? Is it, your moisture ones that we get down here at the coast, or the termites that are, there's a different breed that's more of a dry, so maybe more in the north. The way you can tell is the ones, the termites here in the south by the coast are like a white or like a white color, and then the ones up
That are more inland, are darker
that are
colour.
like a darker color, yes.
Right, absolutely.
Right.
And then the other part is the sewer scope. What does that actually cover?
So
does that go from the clean out into the house?
it's actually the opposite. It goes from the clean out to out towards the sewer itself.
Oh, okay.
It's like 100 feet, and it's a camera. So what it is it'll go in and check for any tree roots that we have. Everyone's got huge trees here in Houston. I've had it happen to me personally at my house. Roots went through my line, and it was causing backup into my house.
But isn't that the city's responsibility?
Very good question. So in my case, it was further enough. It was far enough out to where it was the city that had to fix it. It didn't fall on that's the homeowner. But if it's on your easement or before your easement, it could potentially be something that you need to know. It could cost you money.
Wow.
Right.
See, that's them are the attention to details that
Right.
you need to know.
Absolutely.
Because in some subdivisions, the easement actually starts in the middle of the road.
Right.
And that's what some people don't understand. So,
I mean,
I know in our area, the easement is 15 feet from the centre of the road. So it works the other way backwards. But sometimes out in the country.
Yeah, and then in my case, the sewer line actually ran kind of right, almost halfway point down our street, down our yard. So it ended up being right past that, the way the homes were built in my subdivision. So there's all kinds of different cases. So you want to know if there's any issue regardless, right? But then you also can tell how far, how far that camera's in.
Okay. Now, I know you're technically not an inspector. Did you see the video I just put in? You see it, Kay?
Mm-hmm. Most horrifying.
Oh yes.
So
What do we got here?
let's get your opinion of some of this stuff. Here we go. Here's one support. Do you see that? There was a weight loading. There was a weight loading bricks at the bottom, and this is obviously there's weight going down through that.
Load managing.
Yeah. So these are all the reasons why you should,
Right.
you know, the roof angle. Some
Yeah,
of the
that was
things
pretty
that
bad.
some of the things that we see, you know, here's the roof, the space heater in the roof. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a beam through the chimney.
Right. That's interesting. There's some years of support. That's a good one.
Running water.
Running water,
that
but it's frozen.
is through the faucet.
Oh, and then
Garage surgical suite. Extra fine.
security is
Against
bucket
you.
traps.
It's got some knife traps. Asphyxiation. What that is.
Oh, the breaker pad. It,
And there's one thing I want to stop it there, and there's one
Yeah.
part that you was telling me this morning, or was it? No, one of our agents was saying was they did an inspection of the property and they thought they had a water problem. There's four areas that you know that you told us this morning that as agents we need to look forward for, correct? One was water leaks, and we thought there was a water leak at a
Right,
property.
absolutely.
We broke out the sheetrock and we found a bee's nest behind it. It was a huge beehive. The other one is roofs. What were some of the others? Was it one electrical?
electrical, right? Your roof, electrical, heating,
HVAC.
HVAC. Always, especially here in Houston or
And
Texas.
them are the four main
Yeah,
other
that you-
points that
absolutely.
you as a buyer's agent need to look for. So, you know, always look for them 4 points.
And there's a little bit more to like what we look at if you have irrigation systems or sprinklers. Not everyone does, but that comes with the inspection. If you have it, we inspect it.
Yeah.
So there's just you have to remember there's things that might not come with everything that other inspectors look for, but that's what we look for.
We thought about getting a home an irrigation system, but the problem is we've got 3 Old English sheepdogs, and one of our Old English sheepdogs absolutely adores playing with water. So we just didn't like the idea of getting a sprinkler system because it would drive him nuts.
As soon as it kicks on,
As soon as it kicks on, he would be out there playing with the water, biting at the
right,
the sprinkler vents.
you'd be
sorts of
replacing those little the little heads that come up
Yeah.
all the
things.
time.
And when we have our 1 or 3 freezes within the year, I can't tell you how many,
Oh.
because we do property management, how much problems the sprinklers cause us.
I've
in
never
the
had one
winter.
personally, but I've had a lot of neighbors that have them that just constantly.
Yeah, and then in the summer, of course, you know, if you don't have sprinklers, what have you got? Foundation problems. So what else have we got? You know, anything else you want to say about Bryan and Bryan inspections, Mr. Chris?
Yeah, well, and also some good things to know with our inspections, our reports. I don't know if you mentioned it yet, but by 9 a.m. the next day. And if you need it, now that's our standard, right? 9 a.m. the next morning. So like if inspection the day before at 1 or 2 in the afternoon, you'll get them. But if it's pressing, and you desperately need it that day, we can make accommodations for that. We can make that happen.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What are some of the most common things that you might see as an inspector, or why someone would call you guys out to inspect a home? Like, what are the most common? Obviously, not people, using bricks as their
Right,
foundation, or having a breaker inside of the sink,
right.
but
Yeah,
you
usually,
Well,
would
yeah,
as
put
real estate
something.
agents, we're required
Right.
to basically give each buyer a minimum of 3 home inspection companies,
Hmm.
and then that individual will pick a home inspector out of that.
But do they have to? Do they have?
No,
Do
they don't.
they don't have to
They
have
don't
an
have to,
inspection,
but
right?
to be
Obviously.
perfectly honest, if they don't, they've got a serious problem.
I mean, it's a big investment
Right.
as a home. You're as a buyer, right?
Yeah.
This is one of your biggest investments you probably make, in your life. You want to know, kind of going into something like that, what are just things that could be addressed, or have issues, or don't, or maybe they don't. And you want that peace of mind, and you want to get that report back, right?
Right.
That maybe you don't have a lot of things.
And let me tell you something from a personal experience of somebody who I knew. All right, they got somebody who was a contractor to go through the house to do an inspection of the house, and they went ahead, fixed it up, and sold it. And they ended up getting sued. Now, if they had used a licensed inspection company that was licensed with Trek, then it would have been completely different from the whole thing, because that property has been inspected. But because it was inspected by a family member who was just a contractor, then it made a huge difference. But quite honestly, if you buy a house without getting it inspected, also from a buyer's agent point of view, if you get the house inspected, it's always a good tool to use to negotiate the price down.
Mhm.
Because you've got something from somebody who's licensed and bonded, who is there, that can tell the truth, to say this isn't working, this isn't working, and this isn't working. And also it protects the company it'll protect the buyer. What do they say? Buyer beware.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we're not there to break a deal or stop a deal. What it is we're there to come in and just report on everything that we see. And that's, as a buyer, that's what you want, right? You want to know, our inspectors, they're trained, they're non-alarmist training, where, they go through training on how to, calmly present, things to the buyer. We're not making it uncomfortable or anything like that. It's just, we're there to report and help guide to everything that the inspector sees, and that's a big thing, because, as an agent, that's what you want, right? Is that customer service.
What I want from my buyers are referrals.
Yes, yep.
And the only way that you get referrals from your buyers are giving them the ultimate service that you can give. And if somebody comes to me and says, I want to buy a house, I want a group of good people around me, inspection companies, loan officers, who can be part of my team and join my team, because indirectly I give my buyers a much better service. And that really, to me, is the big part, in doing that. I don't just want to give them one loan officer and one loan choice. I want to give them a number of choices. But if I'm giving a referral to somebody, I want to know that they can be trusted, and as one company says out there, you are in good hands.
Absolutely. We want to just be, everyone should have a go-to an agent should have, their go-to. We just want to be, one of those on the list. I think it's a good thing for agents to have that group of different,
One of the other things I just want to add to you, because I learned this from your company downstairs, was you also do HOA reserve studies, which will tell you how long your roof's got left, how long your ACs have got, how long your water pumps in your basements are left. So it'll tell you when they need replacing. So when you're doing all them HOA fees, which are pretty touchy at the moment with all HOAs, because they're all going up. There's a number of other number of other things that you offer. You offer development consultation, correct?
Correct. We do new construction, correct?
Right.
Raised, and it's, if you have you're doing investments, we can come in and do that type of inspection. The five, the five major points are for an investment company that want to know about properties. New construction, if you're a new home buyer and you're building a house, we can do the three, like the phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 of that.
Let's talk about that quickly.
Okay.
When you're buying a new house, it's important that you do a new home instruction. They do one on the bore, they do one on the framing, and then they do a final one, which is like a walkthrough inspection, which goes through all the things. It's so important that when you buy a new home, that you get a new home inspection on that property. Regardless what the home builder says, they'll say, well, we got our own inspectors. That inspector that the new home builder has represents the builder. That inspector that represents the builder does not represent you. So it's up to you to get your own inspector at your cost. And I can't tell you how many times that I've tried to do deals with new home builders, and they've either done one of two things. As soon as they found out that we want to do an inspection, they've pulled a plug, or two, there's been issues with the property. There was an issue with one property where the gradient, where the home was below the road, so if the house had flooded, the water would have gone through the house, because at the back of the house there was a retention pond.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't think about it, but they should. As a buyer, you should have a third party come out, like us or another inspection company that does new construction. Like we said, the phase 1, it's before they pour that slab. So that you're never going to see this again. You're never going to get to look at that again unless you're going to dig it up, right? But down the road, and that's a huge cost. So have someone come out and inspect that, that pre-foundation, the beams, or the whatever is the plumbing, or whatever is going to be underneath that slab. Have a look at it before they pour the concrete. Phase 2, pre-drywall, pre-sheetrock, the framing structure, the engineered structure, because once they put the insulation and everything on, you can't see that stuff anymore, right? So you want to get in there and make sure that was all ran correctly, and sealed, the ducting, like the HVAC ducting, your plumbing, your electrical, the window, all of that stuff you want to know, right, before the house gets finalized and all sealed up.
Because when it's closed, it's too late.
Yeah, once that sheetrock goes up, you can't.
Yeah. And when you close that house, it's all yours, and you've got all the problems with it. So sort it out before the closing. Okay.
So, what is something in your knowledge, if you were looking to purchase a house, right? What is something that would make you just be like, oh, I'm not purchasing? Just like one thing. Maybe it's termites, maybe it's in a flood zone or something like that, and there's no real solid foundation or something. What's something that you might walk through?
Everyone's different, and it's and agents can be a lot of help with this too, if you kind of get to know your buyer, and maybe they have some trigger points. Maybe it's their roof, like they want to make sure the roof is new or it's in great condition. How long has it been since it's been replaced, or the HVAC is huge, right? You want to know, you want to get that looked at.
Yeah,
right?
new
Is there any
unit.
issues with the your HVAC system, the AC? Is it working properly? When was it last replaced? If you can get those type of things for your clients, that's a huge, thing for them to know before you make a purchase, right?
Right.
Right.
Well, let me ask you a question, Kay. All right. I know you've never owned a home.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm asking you the question. How long do you think a HVAC system lasts for?
Like 20 years, right?
Is that what you'd say, 20 years?
I would guess 20 years.
Right. Because there's so many variables with that. It's a bit of a trick question.
It is.
All right. Because if the HVA system is not of the right tonnage for the square feet of that property, it's working that much harder. You understand? So that's why we bring in experts like these guys, because they'll turn around and say, because I'll be honest with you, when we bought our house, we had 2 4-ton units. Because it's got hotter over the years now, we've now got 2 4.5-ton units.
So you have 2 AC units at your house?
Yes.
Usually with like depending on the square footage, but multi-story, like 2-story house, a lot of times now you'll have 2 units, one for your upstairs, one for your
It's
downstairs.
too hot.
Yeah,
It's too hot because there's no reason.
Well, our house is very unique. Now you like donuts, but I live in a square donut, and in the center of the donut is basically a patio area.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay. Well, it's not cool. I don't like it at all because we never use it. It's a complete, not a waste of space. If I had the money, I would cover it, and I would use that space for a man cave.
Okay, you just want a man cave.
I would.
Hey,
it would
who does it, right?
It would add value to the property. It would be a man cave. We'd have a little cinema area in there, a restroom. So, you know, it'd be basically a 4-bedroom, 3-bath where you could get more friends over and stuff. And it would be something. My wife wants to add a 2nd floor on, and we'd maybe put a playroom on, although all our kids have grown up now. But we looked at doing that at one time, and it was astronomical. We could have just sold what we had and bought a new house and got what we wanted. But let me ask you some other questions. This is just if you was buying a house, okay? Do you know the most expensive thing to repair in a house?
Is it not the AC?
No.
The foundation?
That's the common thing and common answer what people say.
His foundation? Or
Plumbing.
it makes sense, yeah.
Because if you buy a house before, when was galvanized plumbing? 76, 72, 76?
I think so, because I had a house, my first was in 71, and we had galvanized pipes, right?
And what they corrode. Now the new one, they use what they call PEX, which is little plastic pipes. All right, so you know there's less problems with PEX. And we've got the condo that on the board of down the road. We've got to replace all the plumbing for the whole building. And so all that galvanized plumbing has got to come out, and we've got to put PEX in.
Oh my gosh.
It's a huge undertaking.
Right. So that's why we see you kind of now you kind of see like kind of some fears as a buyer
Yeah.
that you could have, but that's why you want a home inspection, because we're not experts. We're not a plumber expert. We're not a HVAC expert. We are certified to come in and then just look at everything.
And I will tell you something that happened to me recently. We wrote a contract on a property, we got it inspected, and the inspector basically turned around and said there's not enough insulation in the roof. There was insufficient insulation in the roof. So if there was more insulation in the roof, that would have helped, you know, the AC and the cost of the AC and everything else.
So that's something that we saw. So it's noted on a report, and then you have that option to negotiate with the seller to, I know you said you like to have them negotiate a certain way, right? With the report that a home inspector does at the end. Now also with our inspections, you can roll in to pay it close. We do that. I don't know if a lot of have you heard that at all?
That's the first time I've heard.
Yeah, that's a really big one now that we offer. You can roll in the cost of your home inspection into your closing costs.
Oh,
so you actually don't technically
normally
it's not an upfront cost.
The standard way of paying for the home inspection is you do a check or you do an electronic payment and you put it in the drawer in the kitchen, and when they do the inspection, the inspector gets his check out the drawer.
Right. Yeah.
That's some under the table business.
It's kind of, it's just the way, I mean, now obviously with technology, I mean, we do all kinds of different
Just
ways,
Italian mafia.
Right,
Hey, check
right.
the drawer, Vinny.
Check the drawer. The cash is in the drawer.
You know where to find it.
But that's like, because there's a lot of things that you're already paying for, or a lot of things as when you're buying a house, if it's newer, like you're just, there's a million things you got going on.
Mhm.
And that's one less thing that you have to worry about, that we offer.
Yeah.
You know, that you can do that. It's kind of, you know, it's just in like the pest service, like a free pest service after you move in with and it's our company that does it, our affiliated pest company.
Yeah.
So it's, you know,
I think that's a great service, especially in Houston, because it's, I mean, when it rains,
you have to have it.
yeah, when
It's
it,
the bug city of the
It's a
world.
bug, I mean, it rains and they all come out.
They
and
all-
go inside your house, right?
Do you know, hey, listen to this. I took my dog for a walk last night, and one of my dogs, her name's Pickles.
That's a great name.
All right. So we're walking the dog, we're walking along the street, and all of us, Pickles is the type of dog, she's very intrigued with things. All of a sudden, I find her flipping this thing in the air. Do you know what it is? She's found a little grass snake. And I felt so sorry for the grass snake. No, she's not killing it.
No, it's a toy.
She's just playing with it.
That's so funny. Yeah. I'll never forget when I was downtown and it started raining, and then I was like, what's going on? I thought it was the end of days because I've never seen that many roaches just crawl. And it was downtown.
No,
And
roaches coming out?
yeah, when it rains, have you ever been downtown when it rains or right after it rains? They come, if there's grass, because they come out of the grass. So if you're like in an area, the grass, I was at the House of Blues to watch a concert and it rained and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't notice it because there's hardly any grass.
Yeah.
You just see them coming out.
I keep trying to get my wife out of Houston because she doesn't like roaches at all. So I said, well, just leave.
It's true.
And she could get a job in any city. I mean, you know, she's very, very well qualified.
Take her to Austin. But that's all we have for today, I think.
Yeah. So to everybody out there, if you are a real estate investor, a real estate agent, or you're a wannabe real estate investor, a wannabe real estate agent, or you just want to be more informed as a buyer or a seller, please, please, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Chris, it was a pleasure to get you here from Bryan and Bryan, and of course, Kay, as always, it's a pleasure to have Kay. We would like to say thank you for joining us. Kay will be cutting this up and clipping it and doing some of them in shorts.
Making us look real good and sound
Making us
excellent.
real good, and, you know, as if we're competing in them Paris Olympics. So thank you to Kay. And anyway, so but until now, we'll see you next week. Ta-da for now, and we'll see you